leftover, so have some leftover Chinese food, and there's like 2 pieces of chicken and 3 pieces of broccoli, and I'm gonna eat this real quick. Let me grab a fork. Play the video.
Overwatch is about to have its 10th anniversary. It'll actually be this time
10?
next year,
What the
which
frick,
is
really?
a little spooky. And when we left off with the game, right, they had reintroduced loot boxes, they made sweeping game changes, and they revealed Stadium. Of course, Overwatch 2 PvE will never happen. Don't even think about it. It's just not realistic. And with so much of their team being axed, it's probably also, well, quite impossible for Overwatch 2 PvE to ever
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it was just a broken promise. That's all it
happen.
is.
But all the stuff that they did was in an attempt to rehabilitate Overwatch. But for all of that buzz, since it all launched, I haven't really heard much, and that is why I am here today, to work out what the hell has actually happened with Overwatch. Overwatch is a great game.
I gotta be honest, I never, judging from like the trailers that they were originally showing and stuff, I thought those games were gonna be way more lore, like, oriented than they turned out to actually be.
But an awful product. That has been my personal TLDR for this one for a long time. The idea being that it's fun, but it's kind of busted by the circumstances of its creation, by the desperate business model stuff over the last few years.
It didn't feel like they created a lore for a hero world. It felt like some of the lore was an excuse to bring other heroes, as opposed to actually building on what they already had, if you get what I'm saying.
And lots of the trends.
Like this guy, Doomfist. Like, we barely saw anything about this guy. They made such a big deal about his fist in the trailers and stuff.
Lots of the trend-chasing brand collab skins that just make me feel old and out of touch. Not because I don't like the brands, but because
I get
like
it, it was
my
only
Overwatch
multiplayer,
to
but
be
still.
Overwatch, and you know, not be an advertisement for a bunch of other brands so everyone can make money. Anyway, all of that stuff did
Not
kind of
expecting
piss
like a
players
full-on
off, pissed me off, and
single
pissed off
player
players
experience,
will
right,
not
but
cut
still.
you any slack if you're a dev team. So it seems that's what they worked on first, getting the product part under a little bit of control. Now on that front, the Returnal loot boxes basically gave people an incentive to continue playing with only the Battle Pass as a payment. That's definitely a positive. Even the premium crossover cosmetics for WoW and Diablo are being included in the loot boxes as of Season 16. That's pretty good. Now, we're still seeing the same high as hell rate of crossovers with Gundam and Street Fighter, but now the players don't have to pay to get access to anything. They're perhaps a bit more willing to extend Overwatch some good faith. It feels a little bit less like an aggressive relationship. So, that's Blizzard's opening. Let's see how they've tried to exploit it, and if it's actually worked. Stadium is the big new feature, and to recap, it's a new mode for Overwatch 2. It takes the 5v5 formula and it breaks it down into 7-round matches. Players basically choose from one of 17 available heroes, and then you play rounds of Overwatch, except that, firstly, right, it's all playable in
So Marvel Rivals.
third person, so that's kind of new. And secondly, every hero can use earned
So Marvel Rivals, got it. Okay, understood.
Stadium cash to purchase new upgrades that will alter your gameplay style in dynamic ways. Basically, right, it's kind of like the Counter-Strike shop, right? You do it in between rounds. There are some neat catch-up mechanics around taking out high performers so that things actually stay competitive. It's kind of neat. It's very much Overwatch's core hero ability formula, but where you're adding in a layer of complexity as you wish as you build out their character. Now, to kind of explain this, Aaron Keller broke it down in terms of 3 player needs that they've tried to hit. The first one is more downtime, like literally the time in between rounds. And that's so that Overwatch isn't just this constant objective brawl that just kind of leaves you tired. You know, you need ups and downs, you need pace. It's something that Counter-Strike does real well. The second thing is to emphasize strategy, and the third is...
No, I want to be in the game at all times, and I never want to be in the menu ever. I always want to be in a game.
It's to let you counter your enemies via your upgrade path for your character, rather than just, say, swapping heroes. And for a lot of people, I mean, like me, I just have 1 or 2 characters I really enjoy playing. Being able to counter my opponents via upgrades without having to change, that's actually really good. So, this all sounds quite great on paper, and
Well, I want to do some Marvel Rivals next week.
it's clearly a fairly huge feature, not just like a random new mode like Clash. And here's what makes it interesting. The reality now that it's actually live and in players' hands. Here's the stat that got me interested in making this video. So, over the first week of Stadium's release, It saw 7.8 million hours of play across 2.3 million matches, and that was approximately 50% of Overwatch's total playtime during that period. So, per playtime, this has had a goddamn humongous release.
Yeah, that's half of all the freaking players, like, damn.
And broadly, the reaction seems to be consistent engagement with the actual mode. So, over here, we've been tracking the response.
Well, good shiz. All right.
And, all of that stuff, keeping
They're
tabs
adapting.
and things. And the thing that we noticed is that it seems to be one of those quiet success things where players are just enjoying it, they're playing it. And that might seem a bit weird, because Overwatch 2 has been in the news kind of all the time, but never for good reasons. It's always been a fresh new form of outrage. So the idea that people are actually just playing a mode in the game, that's not really news. It's not interesting. It's not really talked about. It's not why.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. I mean, at this point, frick, most people who are gonna move on from the game have already moved on. The people who are there, pretty much like the hardcore dedicated fan base,
Overwatch caught on in the media, at least in the modern era. Now, it's not.
And I'm sure that no matter how dedicated and how freaking much they love it, they get bored of the same gameplay loop as well. So a brand new game mode is gonna be it's gonna fit right in perfectly.
There were some early issues, stompy matchmaking, some friction with player experiences in the new systems, but after a day, we actually saw the Overwatch team addressing a whole bunch of things, and after
amazing.
A week, they were already outlining changes. Keller then confirmed that a build importer and exporter is going to be coming into the game next season, so you can transfer builds alongside crossplay as soon as possible, which is quite a lot. And I think requests like this coming from players are a huge indicator of product market fit, and Blizzard's responses actually seem uncharacteristically, fast. They're not normally fast, and the reason why I think is real simple: institutional power and backing. Essentially, this is a game feature that has got backing and buy-in up and down the chain. I mean that structurally within Blizzard. So in practical terms, that means that while it's not like there's an entire team making a parallel game, Overwatch 2 does have, and I just quote Aaron here, totally separate team of people that are solely devoted to working in Stadium. Now, of course, there are shared teams like, map design, hero design, but basically, you get the point here. This is them kind of opening.
So they basically put all the resources
up a new front in
of a full-fledged game.
War. And
whole freaking
that's
team.
Why their roadmap covers 4 seasons worth of updates, just like the rest of Overwatch. So this doesn't seem to be an experiment.
Sorry about my doggos. I think my neighbors are just arriving home.
And so far, by the way, that roadmap is new maps, more characters, more abilities, and sub-modes. One of those is a payload race that will come with 2 bespoke maps, which seems pretty cool.
I say neighbor, but they run a business out of their house, so it's constantly people coming through. And my rescue dog is still not used to everybody, but I'm working on it.
And what it looks like is a commitment. But
he just
I
will
would say it isn't just that. It isn't just a commitment. What it is new. This is a new game mode. And yeah, there's inspirations from other games, but this essentially is new creativity. It's a new vision finally coming to Overwatch. To me, that's what makes all the difference. For far too long, Blizzard's modern teams have felt like stewards of other people's successes, right? And when you are just a steward of someone else's success, you get just stuck into tweaking little things here or there, while your players look at your game and think, we're bored, there's nothing new, we don't care. So in that context, with all
they're gonna move
headwinds they faced, no wonder that's a team that is continually being a day late and a dollar short. But with this, they're creating something new that's of tremendous signaling value to lapsed players, because it's actually them moving forward on their own terms, which is, I'll be clear.
Hey, honestly, you take that word of mouth, you roll with it, you might start basically dragging people back into the game. Hopefully get some of those Marvel Rival players back as well.
Clear, the only way that they will ever escape from the shadow of PvE being well and truly dead. Okay, you know me, if numbers exist, I've got to take a peek at them. So Season 16, and by the way, I'm using Steam numbers. From what we understand, Steam is a fairly tiny proportion of Overwatch overall. We're just using this as kind of an indicator. So, Season 16 launched with a 60k peak, which is neck and neck with Season 15's 59.5k peak. And those peaks are actually of numbers that used to be their weekly norm. I mean, the overall graph really doesn't look good, does it? But As anyone in software as a service will tell you, churn
But it's something.
is king, retention is king, and that's where this season is looking, at least initially, a little bit different. So, you know the way that movies are tracked in terms of their week-to-week box office drop? Well, Season 15's week 1 to 2 drop was 41.66% in peak numbers. Season 16's is 33.19, which is drastically lower. But there's a problem, that's just peak numbers. If you're to ask, what about the averages? Well, the data is early, but at least right now, the average player numbers do seem to be stronger. And overall, it is too early to call this a success, but if retention numbers appear to be better, whilst 50% of playtime is going towards the new mode, then that certainly is a good sign. What it also can be is a pressure valve. You see, Overwatch has suffered from trying to please everybody, right? With broadly the same sort of game mode. Stadium arriving and being a better fit for a sizable chunk of players will help to ease that tension. I mean, already we've seen character-changing perks get added and be well received, plus patches to introduce and adjust those things as the feedback comes through. That's fairly agile looking, pretty good. Meanwhile, over in Ranked, well, pick bans and map voting have seemingly reinvigorated some interest. Not a transformational amount, but hey, some. And across both, there's now a 6v6 queue that's attractive.
Well, especially to the dedicated players that have still sort of been there. I'm sure all of this is nothing but bonuses. It's a positive thing, you know?
A 25% pick rate, and so it's actually getting to stay around after a few months of testing and tweaking. Now, none of those things are generating the buzz that Stadium is able to generate, but what they do kind of represent is the foundations being stronger. And that's probably all playing into why Blizzard have opted to bring BlizzCon back for 2026 and not 2025. Nothing impacts the future of a game more than the conditions under which that game is made. So, why did Overwatch 2 happen? I think the answer is, in many ways, tension. Because on the one hand, the Overwatch devs wanted to crawl themselves towards their cancelled MMO called Titan. On the other hand, Bobby Kotick was personally invested in pushing the Overwatch esports. That was a recipe for disaster. Now, though, we have a new, perhaps slimmer Team 4 that at the very least is not left cobbling together.
They really just gave everyone a whole just shot of goat booty, huh?
A sequel from components of a dead PvE game
that cameraman needs to be fired
without proper support from their C-suite. Because that's how Overwatch 2 happened. They cobbled it together in no time, and this is all happening without C-suite mandates around esports, which, to jog your memory, was absurdly overhyped at the time and was something that Bobby Kotick had, Eye of Sauron'd himself over to and seemingly latched onto from a lot of reporting. Seriously. People on the Overwatch team really seem to have hated Kotick. And while many of those staff members will never see the thing that they wanted in the game, at least to me...
To be fair, with all the allegations and whatnot...
Stadium is this new team progressing from stewardship to authorship. And that's where I think there's a fairly significant change. And it's one that we can contrast with Apex Legends.
And it almost seems like...
Apex feels like managed decline. And the best way to dispel feelings of managed decline, funnily enough, is to ship new content that doesn't feel
I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm just saying, not a lot of people like Bobby Kotick.
Thrown into the microwave. In shipping Stadium, that is what they have done. Now, this is by no means a guarantee that Overwatch 2, line go up, and it's all going to be good in the future, right? It's not a guarantee of that. But I do think it marks a changing point. And if you want to understand just how bad EA's situation is, and why the Apex Legends players are very much not happy, well, watch our report on that situation next.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. I mean, regardless of that, honestly, not what I expected. Clickbait title. But go ahead and share this. No, honestly, it's good that they're innovating. Shoot, they even got a whole other freaking team working on it. Now if they could just get a whole other team to work on making waifus instead of a bunch of freaking, nothing burger looking heroes. Be honest with me. How many of the heroes out there did you even recognize anymore, besides Tracer and Black Widow? I'll sit here and wait. Because I don't know anybody. Everybody else was like, what the fuck? Who the fudge are you? Hey, I don't recognize nobody there. Nobody cares. And honestly, that's probably the main reason why Marvel Rivals took over as well. Because like all the characters are sexy, attractive looking, and frankly, everybody loves them. Everybody knows who they are. Everybody cares about them. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, if you would have given us more lore, maybe some more like, not saying single player experiences, but if you would have given people more story related stuff, I guess, like campaign, something, or even like I don't know, like added somehow more cutscenes. I don't even know what you could have done. More of those events they used to have, the PVE events, uh, to like flesh out a lot of the characters, honestly. And but they never really did that. They sort of gave up on it. Just wanted to add, like show new characters. The esports scene was cool and all, but I don't know. I feel like they prioritize all the wrong things. But who knows? Maybe this new thing will take off. Ayo, Monodachis! Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find links to the videos that we reacted to today down in the description below, along with my Oshi marks. I'll see you in the next video, Monos. Goodbye, and thank you so much for swinging by. Salut!